What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Open Great League with a triple buffed pig theme team, with the obvious choice Grumpig in the lead, Piloswine as the save swap, and Pig Knight, which has access to Rock Tomb as the closer. Now, we'll be honest, Grumpig and Piloswine did most of the heavy lifting, as unfortunately, even with this buff, Pig Knight is still an awful Pokemon, but it was still a very fun team to run. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Which buff Pokemon are you most looking forward to me showcasing in the Ultra League? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, let's go into the first battle, leading Grumpig into Shadow Drapion. Shadow Drapion, a little bit problematic for this team. We're going to say swap into Piloswine, and of course they're going to have Aquatel to hit for super effective damage, and they outpace me to that first charge route as well. They're then going to swap into Blastoise. I've got enough energy to reach a high horsepower, so I'm full sending it right off the bat. It does big damage, and if the opponent overfarms, because we've now got access to Icicle Spear, I can throw this and probably grab a shield advantage in this matchup, which is very nice. The opponent committing to a farm down, they have to throw here, and very good recognition that we do reach another Icicle Spear by the opponent, throwing the Charge Move. We had about 1 HP, so I wasn't really sure if it was worth shielding there, because we probably would have fainted through the shield anyways. But at this point, we're going to come in with the Grumpig. I realize they will still reach back-to-back Hydro Cannons, and at this point, I'm just going to save both my shields for Pig Knight and see what this thing can do. So, of course, I'm going to no-shield that. We come out with the Dynamic Punch. Well, one away from a Dynamic Punch, so throwing it into the Drapion, coming back in. Dynamic Punch does connect. We swap into Pig Knight, and of course, I'm going to shield this up. I don't know what they've got in the back. The opponent goes for Aquatel before swapping into a Credilli. Now, of course, I can go for Rock Tomb here. I didn't throw straight away just in case the opponent wanted to overfarm, because that would have been on poor timing. But now we can go for Rock Tomb of our own, of course, debuffing their attack. And I'm going to admit, I actually completely forgot that Pig Knight was a part fighting type Pokemon. So I was expecting to see lots of damage here, and I was like, whoa, Pig Knight is damn bulky. But no, that's not the case. Of course, we just take neutral damage from the rock moves. We're going to go for another Rock Tomb, grab a shield from the opponent. The opponent then swaps out there, and I'm able to go for a full farm down. And because I was debuffed, I figured might as well swap out there, clear the debuff. They go for a Rock Tomb. We can now go for a Flame Charge, boosting up my attack, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Flame Charge is enough damage to take out Credilli, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's to opponent there into the next battle. We're going to see Grumpig into a Lantern. So, the opponent is going to be on Water Gun, which, of course, much worse for my backline. Actually, Piloswine would have a reasonably okay matchup up against Lantern if they were on Spark, but that's not the case. So, I'm going to stay in this matchup. I can tank a Surf, so I'm going to no-shield this, and I will be able to outpace them to the next charge move as well. So, what we're going to do, overfarm just slightly here, fire off a Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch is going to be shielded by the opponent, but they can't commit to a full farm down. They throw pretty much straight away, and at this point I'm thinking, you know what? I can save my shield. Maybe I can come in with my Pig Knight and go for a full Ember farm down before they reach the next move, and I'm able to do exactly that. Now they come in with a Malamar. Of course, now we can see we're taking super effective damage from the side waves. I go for Rock Tomb, grab the final shield. I swap into Piloswine, and they've got a shiny Skeledirge, but it doesn't matter. We're able to outpace them to the high horsepower. High horsepower gets the one shot up against the Skeledirge, and at this point, I can just safely double shield, reach another high horsepower, and high horsepower, a pretty good charge move, so hopefully by the time we do reach it, this will be enough damage to get the KO, but even if it does not, it doesn't really matter. But we get the one shot, we take out the Malamar, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's to opponent there into next battle, see a Shadow Dragonair in the lead. So, I'm going to stay in this matchup. We will pace the exact same pacing to that first Dynamic Punch, but we will actually take one turn less to reach the next Dynamic Punch. So, I figured no point throwing on CMP there, losing CMP. Instead, we're going to overfarm, fire off Dynamic Punch number 1, then go for Dynamic Punch number 2 just before they reach the next Aquatel, and hopefully the opponent doesn't just commit to a full Dragon Breath farm down. It looks like maybe they would have got there, but luckily for me, the opponent does end up throwing their energy. We're going to come in with the Piloswine, and this is actually the very first battle I did, and I hadn't realized, but I forgot to TM its fast move, so we're actually on Ice Shard at the moment, which not the worst fast move ever, so it's not going to be completely holding me back, but obviously Powder Snow is definitely a better move to go for. We're going to go for the high horsepower. I don't expect them to be running Psychic, so we swap into Pig Knight, hoping I can just go for a full Ember farm down, but Medicham does go for Psychic. That nearly takes us out there. We come back in with the Piloswine, just barely able to get the farm down, and I needed something incredibly weak to Icicle Spear in the back, and unfortunately, it's a Carbink. They tank that very comfortably, and we do lose that game. But GG's up in there, of course. After that battle, I did TM away Ice Shard to get Powder Snow. But into the next battle, I'm going to see a Dunsparce in the lead. So this is a reasonably positive matchup for us. Of course, Dynamic Punch going to hit for super effective damage. Durons, they're non-stab. They don't really do too much damage. Grumpig has some decent bulk to it. We go for Dynamic Punch, grab a shield from the opponent, and they will just barely outpace us to the next charge move. But I will actually outpace them to the third Dynamic Punch, which is good to know. But either way, we're going to go for the Dynamic Punch here. Dynamic Punch is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. Then I actually swap out there just because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to go for a full sideway farm down, but actually that probably would have been okay. But either way, we're going to see a Shadow Drifblim in the back. So I can go for the Icicle Spear, grab the final shield. I'm still able to reach another Icicle Spear as they're on Astonish and not Hex. Icicle Spear gets the one shot, and at this point, it's going to be game over. They got Toxapex in the back, Piloswine, Core Break in their backline, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up in there. Into next battle, we see a Clodsire in the lead. So, this is a fine matchup for us. Actually, not as good as you might think it is, just because Psywave is really chunking, but Shadow Ball not really going to do that much damage here. It is non-stab. So, we're going to go for the Shadow Ball, and then maybe eventually I will swap out of this matchup, but nope, we're going to stay in. Nope, we eventually swap. I try to catch a resisted charge move there. It doesn't work out. The opponent fires off a Water Pulse. What the heck is that? That is really unfortunate, and now we're going to see a Feraligatr coming in. I was almost certain they would shield, so I bait with the Icicle Spear, and I'm in shambles right now. First of all, getting hit with a Water Pulse from Clodsire, and then the opponent just calling these baits. I mean, that was pretty obvious there, but I wasn't going to reach a high horsepower, so I had to settle for a second Icicle Spear. We're going to come in with the Grumpig. I realized they're at back-to-back charge moves anyway, so what I'm going to do is force them to throw the next, well, actually they were one away, but either way, force them to throw the next Hydro Cannon straight away. Now we can come in with the Pignite, and hopefully we've got something in the back that's going to be slightly better for us, but unfortunately, that is not the case. It's going to be an Air Slash Mandibuzz. There's nothing we can do, so I just concede the match there. But GG's up over there. Into the next battle, we're going to see, I can't even remember what they led with, to be honest, but they swapped into Morpeko immediately, and this is a great matchup for the Piloswine. I know shield, and even if it was a Seed Bomb, I assume Piloswine has just about enough bulk to live that reasonably comfortably and not be farmed down by the Thunder Shocks either. But at this point, I'm definitely going to shield the next charge move, as the opponent is going to go for another Aura Wheel there, boosting up their attack by a second stage, but that's fine with me. We can fire off the Icicle Spear here, and if they do shield again, I can probably just commit to a full Powder Snow farm down. So let's see, no, the opponent banks the energy before swapping into a Politoed. So we're going straight for the high horsepower, dealing big damage, and I'm actually just going to stay in here because I don't really want to swap out. We've got Pignite in the back, so not going to be great up against the Politoed. Instead, what we're going to do, come in with the Grumpig. Not going to bother shielding up against this Grumpig here either, and we're just going to go for a full sideway farm down, getting that farm down as well. Very nice. I've realized I would lose CMP there, so no point throwing immediately. They go for Aura Wheel once again, so I'm just going to overfarm just a little bit there, play it safe, go for the Dynamic Punch, get rid of the Morpeko, and we are going to see the opponent comes back in with Galarian and Weezing, which is probably the Pokemon they led with, which I forgot about. But either way, we can go for Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball does some decent damage. I'm now going to swap into Pignite there, trying to catch a Brutal Swing. Doesn't work out as they go for Sludge, but it doesn't really matter. At this point, they're in Ember, farm down range. I'm able to take out the Weezing, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there. Into the next battle, we see a Swampert in the lead. So, this is also where we want to see it. Of course, our backline is double weak to water. I'm going to overfarm here. The opponent doesn't farm up to an Earthquake. So, a Hydro Cannon, whilst it is going to do big damage, doesn't really warrant using a shield there. I'm going to go for a Dynamic Punch. And because the opponent no shields that, I'm actually going to shield this and then just go for a full sideway farm down. So, Hydro Cannon shielded there. We get the farm down. And let's see what the opponent wants to do. They come in with a Morpeko, and we're going to go for the Dynamic Punch, and if the opponent tries to commit to a farm down here, I will reach another Dynamic Punch, but at this point, they will be able to farm me down before we reach a third Dynamic Punch up against Morpeko, so I will eventually swap out, and luckily for me, Piloswine is core breaking the backline once again. We can go for Icicle Spear, dealing big damage. The opponent is going to farm up a lot of energy, but I'm just going to no-shield anyways, don't really care. They go for a Stone Edge, which is fine with me, but they're actually able to reach another charge period. I'm thinking, how did they get there? But it's actually a Sludge Bomb. So I mentioned in like a previous video, it's very unlikely that Clodsire is going to run Sludge Bomb and Stone Edge. That one was running it, so I guess it's not impossible. But either way, I am just barely able to reach the charge move there. Hanging on, that is a double resisted Aura Wheel. High horsepower, gets the one shot up against Morpeko, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG top end there. Into next battle, we see Jirachi in the lead. So, interesting lead matchup for me. They're both going to say swap into Feraligatr, and we don't have a response at all. So, we're just going to stay in with the Grumpig. Unfortunately, they are able to just barely outpace us to that first charge move, but I can go for one side wave, reach a Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch is going to be shielded by the opponent, and now we come in with our Pignite, which seems like a very odd decision here, but of course, I mean, both Pokemon that I've got here are going to struggle up against Feraligatr, and as well, I realized Pignite, whilst we would do super effective damage with the Embers up against Jirachi, we also take super effective damage with the Confusion damage there. So, either way, the opponent's going to come in with a Azumarill, not really ideal for me in the slightest. I'm going to fire for Rock Tomb here. I'll try to throw on CMP with an Ice Beam there, but it doesn't work out for me. Rock Tomb is going to be shielded, and then the opponent swaps out there. They bank the energy. I don't know what charge moves they're running, so either way, I'm going to shield this and realize if I go for an Icicle Spear bait, I should just barely outpace them to a high horsepower. So Icicle Spear does get shielded by the opponent. I can outpace them to the high horsepower, and of course, high horsepower, super effective. It gets the one shot. The opponent comes back in with the Azumarill. They go for one extra bubble, fire off the charge move. They go for a play rough there. So at this point, I'm thinking I need to make a catch onto my Pignite. So we come in with the Grumpig. We swap. We tried to catch the charge move, but it doesn't work out for me. The opponent holds onto the energy. And now if they're running Hydro Pump, they can just full send the nuke there. Hydro Pump easily gets the one shot. And unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG top home there. Into next battle, we see a Dugong in the lead. So this is a fairly good matchup for me. Of course, Dynamic Punch, gonna hit for super effective damage. I throw just before they reach an Icy Wind to debuff my attack. And the opponent actually no shields the first charge move, which is quite surprising for a Dugong. Usually they love to shield the first move. But either way, Icy Wind, going to drop my attack there. I'm now gonna overfarm once again, throwing just before they reach the next charge move. And Dynamic Punch, number 2, goes unshielded once again. They then come in with a Sableye, a shiny Shadow Sableye. But I'm actually able to win CMP with the Icicle Spear. Icicle Spear is going to be shielded by the opponent, and this one I'm thinking, you know what, they're going to outpace me to the next charge move anyways. I'm going to no-shield the first one, and I still will be able to get to an Icicle Spear before they can farm me down. So Icicle Spear, number 2, coming through. It's going to very nearly take them out there, but they do snipe with Superior. But we can come in with the Pignite, and the opponent just instantly concedes the match, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, see Grumpig into a Shadow Feraligatr. So once again, I don't have an answer to this Pokemon whatsoever, so we'll stay in initially. I'm just going to no-shield the first charge move here as we can tank this, and this is the only Pokemon that will be able to tank a Hydro Cannon on the team. So we go for Dynamic Punch, grab a shield, we then swap into our Piloswine. They will outpace me to the next charge move, and we've already seen this. Icicle Spear is not enough damage to take out a Shadow Feraligatr, but I'm going to bait anyways. I figured they've already seen the Piloswine, they've seen the Grumpig, they are probably going to double shield their Feraligatr, and they do exactly that. So at this point, we're going to shield here as they go for a Hydro Cannon, and the opponent is going to overfarm before swapping into a Diggersby. So I've now got back-to-back Icicle Spears here, but that Feraligatr is loaded on energy. They don't quite have a charge move, but I couldn't really remember how many moves they threw before swapping out. So we're going to swap, we catch a charge move. I'm expecting this to be a Fire Punch, and it is the Fire Punch there. So we can now go for an Ember, farm down, taking out the Diggersby. The opponent comes in with a Clodsire, and I know this is resisted damage, but I'm going to go for a Rock Tomb here to debuff their attack. That way, we can just obviously tank moves a lot more comfortably. The opponent will be throwing a charge move. They have to go for an Earthquake now. Earthquake does get the KO there. We can come back in with the Piloswine, and of course, very little fast move pressure, but unfortunately, I lost track of the energy on their Feraligatr. The opponent takes us out with the Hydro Cannon. They can just Shadow Claw, farm down the Grumpig, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG top end there. Into the next battle, we see a Guzzlord in the lead. So obviously not great for me at all. I'm going to stay in this matchup initially, then swap. I try to catch a Brutal Swing on my Pignite. It doesn't work out for me. So the opponent is going to fire off a charge move, and they go for a Dragon Claw here. So at this point, they come in with a Lapras. I can at least go for a Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb, first of all, going to hit for super effective damage, and it's also going to debuff their attack, but it basically just gives them more farm. But they actually do not commit to a farm down there, which is very nice for me because they could have very easily got that farm down. Now we can come in with the Grumpig. I'm going to overfarm here. We actually didn't quite overfarm as much as I possibly should have done because now they will still outpace me to a charge move on the Guzzlord. I didn't know who wins CMP in this matchup, and I am about to find out. But we're going to go for a shield here. They are on Dragon Claw and Brutal Swing. We're going to go for that Dynamic Punch straight away. Dynamic Punch is going to grab the shield from the opponent, and unfortunately, it's Grumpig that ends up losing CMP in this matchup. So, going to shield here as I can. Probably grab the final shield from the opponent. opponent, and then I will be swapping into my Piloswine. Dynamic Punch grabs that final shield, we swap into Piloswine, and they've got a Shadow Galarian Weezing in the back. We're able to outpace them to the charge move. High horsepower, hits for super effective damage, it gets the one shot, and Piloswine should be bulk enough to tank whatever they throw here, and I will be able to reach an Icicle Spear. They go for Brutal Swing. I'm actually going to go for one extra Powder Snow just in case for whatever reason the Icicle Spear didn't quite get the KO. It doesn't really make a difference there. We take out the Guzzlord, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG top there into the next battle, we see a Shadow Dragonair in the lead. So once again, going to play this out exactly the same, not throw the Dynamic Punch immediately just because there's no point going on the CMP time, but this time actually, no, never mind, we're not going to play this out exactly the same. I'm actually going to go for a Dynamic Punch here after no shielding, then swap into my Piloswine, and the opponent going to bank some energy before swapping into a Talonflame. Now, unfortunately, Talonflame is going to be great up against the Piloswine. I do have access to Stone Edge, so the opponent does respect the damage there before shielding up an Icicle Spear. We reach a second Icicle Spear, but unfortunately they will be able to farm me down. At this point, we're going to wait out the switch clock here, come in with the Pignite. We're going to have to shield the first charge move. They should be one Incinerate away from back-to-back charge moves here. So what we're going to do is go for 2 Embers, swap into Grumpig, make that catch as the opponent goes for the fly, taking us out there. And now I can just commit to a full Ember farm down, but the opponent swaps back into Shadow Dragonair. They bank the energy. They're able to grab a shield there with the Arquitel, and that's actually pretty costly for me. At this point, obviously both charge moves will get the KO. Might as well boost my attack with the Flame Charge, taking them out. We're able to get the Ember farm down, and they come in with a Dugong. So this would be a good matchup if we still had a shield, but unfortunately that is not the case. Rock Tomb, once we're boosted, it does big damage. It's just barely not enough damage to put them into Ember farm down range before they reach a Drill Run, and unfortunately Drill Run super effective, takes out the Pignite, and we do end up losing that game. But GG stop home there into the next battle. We see a Blastoise in the lead, so this is fine with me. Again, kind of where we need to see it. We're going to go for a Dynamic Punch before the opponent throws their first charge move, and since they do farm up a ton of energy, I'm actually going to shield this just because all the times that they have farmed up a ton of energy so far this season, it's always been a Skull Bash, so I'm happy to shield that. We can now go for Dynamic Punch here. Dynamic Punch is going to be shielded by the opponent, and the opponent is going to reach another charge move. I should be able to live this whatever they throw, and it's actually an Ice Beam, so that is very interesting from the opponent running Skull Bash and Ice Beam. Obviously, they just don't have an Elite TM to use on their Blastoise, but either way, we're going to come in with the Piloswine. Of course, Dynamic Punch going to hit for super effective damage, so I will shield the first one. I should be able to outpace them now to a high horsepower, and this does hit very hard, but high horsepower doesn't quite get the KO there, and the opponent is able to reach a last second charge move. Dynamic Punch number 2 gets the KO, but we can come in with the Pignite, get a slight energy head start with the Ember there, taking out the Grumpig, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. The opponent comes in with another Credilli, and I think at this point I had realized that we're no longer weak to the rock typing there, but it doesn't matter. I'm still going to swap, try to make that catch there. The opponent is going to swap back into Blastoise, but I read that. I'm able to hold on to the energy. I'm able to get the Sideway farm down, come out with the Dynamic Punch loaded, and we are just one away from the next charge move. And of course, at this point, I'm a lot more confident because Rock Tomb is just a neutral charge move. I realize I can actually just go for an Ember farm down, save a little bit of time there, taking out Credilli, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG top there into the next battle, see a Ferret in the lead. So I'm going to swap into my Piloswine, baiting out a Shadow Sableye, and I'm going to go straight for an Icicle Spear. Now, of course, we could still be running Avalanche, so I do grab a shield with the first charge move. Second one probably will not be shielded by the Sableye, but either way, we're able to throw on CMP, once again winning CMP. At this point, I think I'm going to no-shield this. The opponent is going to go for a foul play. Unfortunately, they will be able to farm me down there, but if I'm able to come in with the Pignite and snipe them before they can react, I will be able to take them out in just one Ember, and we're able to do exactly that. So the opponent comes in with a Kanto Marowak. We are going to swap back into our Pignite, our Grumpig, go straight for Dynamic Punch, and the opponent actually no-shields that. They're going to farm up 2 back-to-back charge moves, but they're at 1 HP, so if the Sidewave KOs before they throw the next one, then, unfortunately, that does not happen. We should have been able to take them out there before they get to Swift number 2, and that is unfortunately going to be costly for us. I then throw it on very poor timing there. I'm a little bit flustered at this point. We're going to come in with the Pignite, and it's just going to be game over. Unfortunately, they're one away from back-to-back charge moves. They go for the Bone Club. I don't even reach a charge move there myself. Of course, Bone Club number 2 will be enough to easily take out the Pig Knight. And of course, if they didn't reach a second Swift, I'd have had easily enough HP to get the farm down there. But unfortunately, it's me that gets farmed down, and we do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there into the final battle of this video, leading into a Wigglytuff. The opponent then say swaps into a Dusclops, which is fine with me. We can go for the Shadow Ball, dealing big damage, swapping into the Piloswine, and the opponent's going to fire off a Charge Beam. Now, Dusclops could actually go for Fire Punch here, but most of them are going to be on Shadow Punch and Ice Punch, and some of them will have Poltergeist as well for a hard-hitting nuke. But either way, we go for the Icicle Spear, you get the KO. They come back in with the Wigglytuff. I'm going to make sure to throw on good timing, going for an Icicle Spear. Icicle Spear is going to be no-shielded by the opponent, and now it's my turn to get damage registration error there, make it to a Charge Beam that I shouldn't have been able to throw, and at this point, it's looking pretty good for me. We are going to come in with the Pig Knight, and I expect them to just go for a blind Icy Wind, so actually they do hold on to the energy, they go for a Swift there, and they come in with a Blastoise, which is not really ideal, but then they overfarm again, which is fine with me. We can go straight for Rock Tomb, debuffing their attack, and also kind of dealing some decent damage there. We can come in with the Grumpig. The opponent goes for a Hydro Cannon there. At this point, I realize this will just be another Hydro Cannon. So since they are debuffed, I can tank this reasonably comfortably, and I will be able to make it to back-to-back Dynamic Punches. The opponent recognizing that, so they just concede the match. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.